Hello, good morning, beloveds. It's Shanti here, and I felt to do a Facebook Live this morning on mastering our energy, mastering our own energy. So, really excited to be here and welcoming all of you who are joining this live now, and also those of you who are listening to the replay. And we'll begin just getting comfortable and perhaps doing a grounding in, and I'll read a card reading that I pulled for you all today. And then I have some pieces to share around this. I made some notes. And then there's a time for questions, if that's helpful. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to share questions live. And then I'll have a grounding out. So just inviting us to close our eyes and to take some deep breaths. And welcoming all of ourselves into this space as we are in this moment. Feeling our sits bones connected to the surface we're sitting on. Perhaps wiggling our jaw, moving our head from side to side. I'm really inviting us to feel a sense of our energetic field. So bringing our awareness now outside of our physical body and seeing if we can tune into our energy body, our energetic field that surrounds us. And just noticing, and without judgment, if you're not feeling able to tune into this. But if you are, inviting you now to notice how close or far away your energy field is for you. And perhaps if you notice your mind is tangled up or enmeshed with other people, processes, that could be an indication that your energetic field is quite large. So just really inviting us now in this practice to bring our energy bodies in. So really coming back to ourselves, bringing ourselves home and connecting with our own hearts. And inviting you, beloveds, to really get a sense of your own energetic boundaries. And your space. This is your space. And inviting you in this space to take some breath and to really get a sense of yourself, not only in your physical form, but in your energetic field, in your energy body also, and to take up this space, to feel empowered, to be in your power, owning and claiming your energy, your boundaries, and knowing all the people on this call right now, we're all doing the same thing, and just honouring the importance of mastering our own energy, knowing our limits, knowing our boundaries, and just honouring you today, beloveds, for giving this some time and space. And if it feels good to have a hand on your heart, and then when you're ready, just gently blinking your eyes open and coming back to presence. So I'm imagining, if you're on the live or listening to the replay, this topic is relevant to you around energy and mastering your own energy. I might just have a sip of my cacao. I know for myself personally, this has been a huge journey and it continues to be. And I would really say the biggest piece is around intuition, really trusting our own intuition around what feels good in our body, and it's less about the mind and it's more, I would say, about the body, and using our body as a guide and a compass to indicate to us what is a good thing, what is not such a good thing, and to trust it. And sometimes discomfort or challenging conversations may ensue from this. But in my experience, what happens is our energy levels just expand and expand when we really use our body as a guide. So the first thing I'd love to do is to read the card reading. And I pulled a card from the Lemurian card deck. It's Beyond Lemuria by Izzy Ivy. I don't know if anyone's heard of this. It's a beautiful card deck. And why I chose the Lemurian cards is because I feel this sense of support with the Lemurian collective, with the energetic body, the energetic field. So, and interestingly, the card I pulled was the Ether, Seamless, Unspeakable. So this was the card, and it says, 0 point field, the void, blank canvas, threshold, anything is possible. Time to choose what you want to bring into your life. Endless possibilities, limitlessness, paradox. The illuminated space of no distraction and pure potential is beyond the threshold. It is the silent, meditative moment, out of time, the centered and present place beyond the hustle of the mind and outside world. It is where all dreams are birthed, and it is the light we may fear to be darkness. And it is the light we may fear to be darkness when, just for one moment, everything ceases to exist. This is the place between worlds, the womb before we incarnate, and from here we can choose where to go. The land has been tilled in readiness for the flowers we wish to seed. Outdated doors have been closed, and in the space between the breaths we open the new ones. What may be perceived as the endless black nothingness is actually the illuminated eternal, the core that all fears may be peeled back to. When we step through the darkness, we realize it is only a short distance away from the white void at the center of creation and heaven. Herein lies the feeling that we may have been striving our whole life to meet, and yet simultaneously subconsciously running from. In this place of graceful surrender, we may know we are held and allow ourselves the spaciousness to drop deeper into the experience of our existence. Themes: too elusive and mysterious to define, a knowing without worlds, the spaces in between, life force energy. So, dear beloveds, this just feels so perfect. This card, when we're talking about energy and mastering our energy, it couldn't have been more perfect. So that's the card reading. And I just invite us to take some breaths with those words and just allowing them to land, allowing ourselves to receive what resonates, letting go of what doesn't. Okay. And so some pieces that I wrote down to share with you about how to master our energy. So the first thing I put was some practices. So what has worked for me, and I would really encourage you to do to support you with your energy levels, is to have practices that are consistent. So it could be exercise, could be breath work, could be meditations, could be going for walks in nature, having a bath. So practices that can bring you out of your mind and more into your body. So embodiment practices are ideal, and just to consistently tend to these practices to support you to create like a good energetic feeling in your body in the day. For example, I usually begin my day listening to meditations, and I'll put a link. There's this incredible gentleman called Steve Noble who has a website called Soul Matrix for light workers, starseeds, I call us shadow workers as well, and empaths. And there are so many free transmissions that he has so generously shared. And I find his work incredible, especially around honouring and safeguarding my energy, because I'm so empathic and I feel everything so deeply. So I really have to work on it. It's like a practice to bring my energy in. And I generally listen to his meditations in the morning and in the evenings, and sometimes also at night if my mind is quite busy. So really encouraging practices to be like a core foundation of this work, and that you're just tending to this all the time. So other people I would recommend listening to are people like dear Matt Kahn, Laurie Ladd, Lee Harris and Bashar. They also work in these realms of supporting us to get energetically clear, and particularly Matt Kahn I find really supports us with connecting to our heart space. So I would really recommend these people, and I can put the names underneath as well if that's helpful. And they share things. Also Pamela, oh my goodness, I've forgotten her name. Pam Gregory. Pam Gregory is an incredible astrologer who I also follow and would really recommend her work. So generally these people, it's like they all have their essence and their gift, as we all do. And when you're tuning in to leaders who are supporting us to take care of our energetic well-being, it can really just help us get clear. And often I find I hear the exact message that I need to hear that I didn't even know when I tune into their work, when I tune into their transmission. So also encouraging you to tune into leaders who you feel resonant with. So something else that's really helpful that I generally do every day is space clearing. I use either Palo Santo or white sage, just light it and clear the space, because energetically, whatever process, whatever has come up the day before, it stays in the space. So we need to open the windows, we need to clear the energy, and that takes action. That takes dedication as well, to constantly clear our space, so we're living in a clean and an energetic clean space. And of course, because I'm a space holder also, I would make sure to energetically clear spaces before sessions I hold and after. So this is really important. And if you're feeling particularly heavy or dense energetically, I would recommend just clearing your own energy yourself. You know, it could be with the Palo Santo on a wing. So just to give your own energetic field a clear, because that can support us to disentangle and become, you know, more not enmeshed with other people and their energy. While I'm remembering, there's another amazing command. It's called the Purple Flame command. And if anyone's interested, please comment in the comments below and I'll share it. But if there's a process that's going on with someone and my mind keeps going into loops with them, that it's not helping me, I do this purple flame ritual where I'm releasing their being energetically from my field, and I'm releasing myself energetically from their field and bringing us back. And it's with love. All of this is with love. All of this is with the highest vibration of love, unconditional love. So working with energy with pure intentions is super important. And please let me know if you'd like me to share this purple flame command. And I notice if energetically the hook is stronger, I also work with a shamanic practitioner who does deeper practices. It's like the purple flame, but deeper, and that can really unhook. Because when we work in this field, we can also we can be on the receiving end of very negative energies, people's projections, people's judgments, or people's psychic attacks even. And I know it's not such a comfortable topic, but it does happen. And if you're finding you're being affected by this, I would really recommend you to get support from a shamanic practitioner to support you to clear any unhelpful hooks, any unhelpful tentacles. So just encouraging you to really resource yourself. Like, there's so much support, you know, there's so much support. I also work a lot because I work as a channel, and I call in my guides, call in my angels, call in my supportive, loving and supportive ancestors to support me. So to know, beloveds, that you are so divinely supported with this. And these beings in the astral realms, in my experience, are so deeply, deeply respectful of our human experience that they would only support us if we ask for their support. So just reminding you of that, that you have the power to ask for the etheric, the spiritual, the divine support, however you wish to call it, if you wish to. And we are so supported in every moment. So just encouraging you to lean on all the support and resources that are available. So I've put here also water. I find water is such a powerful cleansing tool. So, for example, you know, having baths. I mean, I'm not just talking about like hygienically, like washing ourselves. I'm talking about energetically cleansing, purifying ourselves. So baths, and I use Epsom salts. I use Himalayan salts and also bicarbonate of soda. Dear brother recommended a mixture of these three. And I find this is so helpful energetically to release patterns like unhelpful thinking patterns, intensity, nervous system activation, dysregulation, you know, and really bring my energy back to me. So encouraging baths using these products, also aromatherapy oils. I've got a whole load here. I use them all the time, and you can really get into the different aromatherapy oils and their uses, you know, the different qualities they have, and to use the different oils for different things. So really working with nature, beloveds, you know, and the products and the resources that we have. So other than baths, just if you don't have time to have a bath or we don't have a bath, showers are also good, just to cleanse ourselves and to cleanse our energetic body. And if you live near the sea or a river or some natural lake or something like this, I would also encourage being in moving water. And while you're in moving water, it's helpful, I find, to be with processes that you're wanting to let go of. And it could be, if it's available for you, to say them out loud. I release, I let go of. So you're working with the elemental realms, and I call in. So really working with the moving water to purify and cleanse you. Okay, so I've got to here, and I'm just going to put a note there and have a sip of my cacao and maybe take a couple of breaths. I notice I can speed up when I do lives. I've also got quite a lot to get through. I realise I've got quite a lot of information on this topic after 10 years working with it myself so deeply, taking care of my energy levels. So I've also put here fire, and I have a fire on right now, and I've always got a candle or candles on, and especially if we're healing from nervous system freeze, trauma response, I really recommend as a practitioner bringing in more warmth. And here as well I've got a hot water bottle, so you know, really bringing in the warmth to support the nervous system to move out of the freeze trauma response and begin to melt. You know, it's like fire with ice, it melts the ice. So I notice that when I'm around, my body is around warmth, be that fire, be that like a hot water bottle or a bath, I start to thaw. That was the word I was looking for. Thaw. So I start to thaw and come back to myself, and my body starts to relax again. So really encouraging you, beloveds, to use the element of fire. It's such a powerful tool. It's such a powerful tool. I put nature here as well. You know, I mean, these things are really obvious, but for us energetically sensitive beings, nature is such a powerful tool to ground. And if you can be in nature with your shoes and socks off, and really, again, visualize whatever you're releasing moving through your body, because we're energetic beings, and we can allow then Mother Earth to take what is not serving us, and we can replenish ourselves, you know, from this incredible mycelium network that we are all a part of. So really encouraging you, beloveds, even if it's in your own garden, and that's what I do most of the time. I'm always just grounding in my garden or walking in my garden to connect with nature. So really encouraging us to use this incredible resource we have at our fingertips, a lot of us. And I've moved on to what we're putting into our body. And a lot of this is really obvious, but it's always good to name and remember and remind ourselves. You know, for myself, I avoid alcohol, sugars, gluten and caffeine and processed food, and as much as possible eating a diet of clean food, nourishing food, and listening again to the body. You know, what is the body wanting us to eat? What is the body needing to be nourished by? And when we get really tuned in and really attuned with our body and our interoceptive awareness, we can find, in my experience, that, hey beloved Helen, lovely to welcome you here. You've got to be somewhere. Lots of love, darling. Sending so much love, and thank you for tuning in. So we can really tune into what is coming from our body's need to be nourished, or from like an addictive pattern. Because it also could be, for example, if there's a challenging emotion that's coming up that we don't feel that we want to feel, we can have a craving for sugar, for example. You know, so why I'm saying this is we can get really clear with our body. Is this coming from our body's need for being nourished, or is it coming from trying to repress an uncomfortable emotion? You know, and I'm not judging that, because that happens too, and we need to go gently with that, you know, that when that happens, but really encouraging as much as possible to be mindful and conscious about the food that we're putting into our bodies, into our systems, and really tuning into what our body needs to be nourished by. So yeah, I've put here about screens, because anything that we're saying yes to, anything that we're engaging in, you know, for example, on social media, on Netflix, you know, anything that we're watching, we are energetically allowing this into our being. So what I really encourage is to just be mindful while you're watching or engaging with the thing. How am I feeling? So constantly, like, checking in with yourself. How is this impacting me? How am I feeling? Does this feel good? Does this feel supportive? Is this helpful? And then giving yourself the choice that you can change your mind. Maybe this isn't the right film to be watching right now. Maybe this isn't helpful for me to just be scrolling on social media right now. Maybe this conversation isn't healthy for my system right now to be having. Maybe I need to pause it. So really inviting mindfulness and conscious awareness of what we are engaging in the moment, and how we are feeling, and being in choice. Is this good to stay engaged with, or do I need to pause or remove myself? And knowing, beloveds, that you are always in choice. You're always in choice. So really giving us back our power to make decisions from a place of healthy discernment. Okay, so this now, moving on to a bigger topic, which is people. I know this is like maybe opening a can of worms, so I might just take a sip of cacao before I go into this one. And I know, beloveds, a lot that I share on social media is about relationships and relating and the dynamics and boundaries and all of this. And it's such a rich, juicy topic, and I know I could probably talk about this topic for a long time, so I'll try to keep punctual, specific with this. So the biggest area of discernment, I would say, is the people we choose to have in our lives. And again, I would really encourage you to listen to your body, to really be guided by your body around the people you have in your lives and how they make you feel at any given moment. So what I've put here is intuition, and we can often tell how we feel after we have spent time with that person. So really giving yourself time to tune in after you've had an experience with a person. Tune in. How am I feeling right now? Am I feeling nourished? Am I feeling uplifted, inspired, alivened, excited about life? Or am I feeling drained? Am I feeling exhausted? Am I feeling flat, you know, and confused, you know? So, and of course, I'm not talking about like emergency situations when someone we love needs our care. This is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to ongoing dynamics with people where we are not feeling good and we're actually feeling worse after connection. So might just give you a couple of moments to take a breath with that. And this can often bring up a lot because these dynamics might be, with some people we're closest to, might be in our family, might be, people we're in romantic relationships with. So I know this can bring up a lot. But what I'm inviting with this is discernment, and just, even if at this point all we're doing is just noticing how we're feeling and that's all we can manage, that's okay. But just really bringing in an empowered choice that we are in control of how much we see people and who we have in our lives. And this is an ongoing journey, beloveds. I've been on such a journey, and because I can speak a bit of my own situation, because I have changed so much from the person I was. Most of my friendships have also changed, and at this moment in time I'm not in physical relationship with my family members, as it's not been healthy for me, my birth family members, as it's not been healthy for me. So it's not an easy path, beloveds. There's no part of me that's saying this is easy when sober realizations come in that some people are not actually healthy or good for us, and therefore we need to put boundaries in place. So I'm really inviting in a lot of compassion and sensitivity and kindness and spaciousness with this piece while you're in a process of evaluating, and knowing, beloveds, that you always have the power to change your mind and to course correct and make amendments, make alterations in your life. Like, nothing's too late to change. If you're noticing you've been in a relationship that has not been serving you for years, and now you're feeling resourced enough and in capacity enough to gently move away from it or put boundaries in place, or in a fast way put a boundary in place and withdraw from it, then really supporting you with that, but really honouring the delicacy and the nuance around this piece. So I've put here some ideas of how we could communicate this to the other person. For example, if we're needing to start to set boundaries, and I know for some people this is a completely new concept, setting boundaries, and I know for myself, beloveds, this was not something I was brought up with. I had no idea what boundaries were, and this has been something that I've learned on my own healing journey, and this is an intrinsic part to energetic health and energetic mastery, our boundaries, setting our boundaries, knowing when we need to set a boundary, setting the boundary and upholding the boundary. So I feel like this has been an area, people call me the boundaries queen or boundaries boss, but it's been through emotional pain, basically, dear friends, that I've been through so much pain being in dynamics, being in connections, friendships, relationships that have been so damaging for me that I've had to go on a big journey to learn my boundaries. And now it's much easier to put my boundaries in place and to honour them and to uphold them. So some things I've put here is, for example, I notice a contraction in my body. This is something we can say. I notice, so we're really owning our own experience. I notice in our connection a contraction in my body. I feel some anxiety in our connection and I need to take care of myself. So really tuning into what feels true and manageable for you, beloveds, in the connection, and really inviting you to honour that with whatever boundaries feel appropriate. It could be that you're only seeing the people in social situations, like not one-on-one, for example. It could be when you do see them that you're having a reduced amount of time, that you say, for example, 2 hours is the maximum or half an hour is the maximum, and you honour that. You let them know that's the time that you have available and you honour it. So it could be that you're just gently reducing the impact of being in this dynamic and being with this other energy, how much that has on you. So really supporting with energetic boundaries to take care of yourself. And I've put as well here, watching the people-pleasing, rescuing, self-abandonment patterns, because when we've had established relationships, connections, dynamics, friendships, over long periods of time, we can be in entrenched patterns of people-pleasing, of rescuing, of self-abandonment patterns, and really giving you permission to make a different choice. Really giving you permission to make a different choice. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to abandon yourself to stay in relationship. And in fact, the people who really care about you will support you with your boundaries. So this is another way we can really find out who are the healthy people for us in our lives, because they're the ones who support us to have our boundaries. So that feels relevant to say. Yeah, I've put as well being mindful about where you socialise. You know, for example, as I don't drink alcohol myself, I don't choose to go to pubs or places where there's alcohol present, as I know I start to feel disassociated, because what happens is there's so much what I experience is there's so much unfelt feelings in the field. I feel them and I start to disassociate. So it's not healthy for me to go to pubs, for example, or to be around, you know, people who are drinking alcohol. So I just know that about myself and take care of myself, and I choose not to do it. And so I'm also sharing this to give permission that we don't have to socialise in ways that are not healthy for us. We can be really mindful. And also, for example, if you go somewhere and you find that this isn't feeling good, we have permission to leave. Like, we don't have to stay in environments that don't feel good, and we can take care of ourselves with that. You know, so really offering this empowerment piece and choice and radical honesty, even if it creates discomfort for the other, you know, because what I often find is our truth is actually a gift to the other. You know, even if it is uncomfortable, we're starting to have honest, authentic, real, true relationships with people. And this is what we're doing on a collective level. We're moving into new times. We're moving into new earth. We're moving into new paradigm that's based on truthful, loving, authentic, honest communication, which isn't always easy. And I've put here keeping track of our system, which is keeping track of our body. So when we are in a social situation, like having this like perspective and interoceptive awareness, which means tuning into ourselves in our body, what's going on, how am I feeling right now, am I positioned where I want to be, is there someone else I would rather be sitting next to, you know? So really, and I'm saying it in this way because often I can be somewhere and thinking I don't actually want to be sitting here, I would much rather go over there and sit next to this group or with these people. So giving yourselves permission, beloveds. And of course, when we're brought up with conditioning, with codependency, with feeling that we are responsible for others, we can go into freeze. You know, we can go into freeze trauma responses and end up, you know, not being exactly where we want to be, even in social situations. So I'm challenging all of this, and I'm giving radical permission to keep tuning in to how you're feeling in the moment, and is there somewhere or is there someone you'd rather be with, and to give yourself permission to act upon that. And what we learn in sexological bodywork is notice, trust, value and communicate. So really honouring these pieces, noticing how we're feeling, trusting how we're feeling, like our body knows us best, valuing how we're feeling, and then communicating that. I notice I feel like I'd like to go and speak to my friends over there right now, and then doing it, moving your body over to that other place and having a chat with them. So really radical permission giving. I've put here speaking up and advocating for yourself in the moment. This is a good one. If a boundary has been crossed, oh my gosh, this is such an important one. So for example, if you're noticing you're in a social situation and a boundary has been crossed, instead of not saying anything and going into freeze and then perhaps needing to tend to that or follow it up at a later date, which takes more energy, I really recommend in the moment speaking up. For example, I was at an event just recently and I was receiving some unsolicited and unwanted touch from someone, and it happened around 4 times, and I started, you know, going into my head around it, and then I found my voice and I was able to ask the person if they were open to feedback. They said yes, and I said, I noticed that I've received non-consensual touch a number of times, and I would feel much more comfortable if you would stop giving me a non-consensual touch. Would that be okay with you? And the person said yes and apologized, and it was complete. And it's just like that stopped all the mind fucking, because I could have spent the whole time there head fucking, I call it, about it, and not actually expressing myself and making a clear request, even though there was some discomfort in the moment that I said it, and the other person may or may not have felt discomfort themselves. It's actually a gift to express our truth. It's actually a gift, and maybe the other person needed to hear that feedback as well. So I'm really encouraging beloved friends to be with ourselves so much that we can even advocate and set a boundary and communicate that something is not okay for us in the moment, because it really reduces the energetic labour afterwards. So really encouraging speaking up for ourselves, advocating, setting boundaries in the moment. Okay, so I'm on page 2. I wrote 2 pages. I might have another sip. Gosh, I didn't realise I've been going 35 minutes already. There's a lot to share. There's a lot to share in this one. Okay, so sleep and rest. This is a priority. So many people who are energetically sensitive struggle with insomnia. You know, and I know I have done also myself, and that's another whole topic I can support with insomnia, but really prioritizing sleep. So this is winding down to have a good night's sleep, if possible, allowing ourselves to have a lie in, you know, so really allowing the body to receive as much nourishment as possible from sleep, honoring this, is it circadian rhythm, the circadian rhythm? So really honouring this, I may be pronouncing it wrong, that the circadian rhythm, so getting as much sleep and nourishment from sleep as possible, ideally not being on screens just before sleep, and again being really mindful, are we making choices that are activating our body and not supporting us to go into sleep, or are we supporting our body to start to go into a down-regulated, parasympathetic state in the nervous system, ready for sleep. So really honouring the sleep cycle. I've put here, so often people who are on this healing path, you know, we may be receiving treatments, we may be going to workshops, we may be, you know, going to festivals or having quite big experiences. And what I've put here, I'm such a believer in integration time, you know, and this for me is before and after the event. So for example, if I'm going to receive a healing session, I'll make sure that I resource myself before the session. You know, I'll have a day before the session where there's no big things I need to do, where I can just rest and resource. Then I have the session, and then I will also have a day after the session where I'm prioritising integration. And for those of you who are not familiar with this term, integration, so when we have, you know, like a big up-leveling, significant experience, it's not so much the experience, but I would say as much the integration time, which is allowing our body, our cells to receive the information that we received in that experience, allowing it to land. And it can often feel like a snow globe is shaken up, and we can feel quite discombobulated, you know, different feelings and emotions can come up, and it can be, you know, quite disorientating. And so I really encourage integration time after big experiences, and not to just imagine that we can go straight back into work the next day or straight back into our normal life. Integration time is vital when we have big experiences, to allow the body to land, to settle, to receive the up-leveling, and actually, you know, it's allowing pieces to go from the short-term memory into the long-term memory. So we are fully receiving the experience, and we're not just living on the surface level, going from intensity to intensity to intensity. So I really am an advocate of taking life slowly, of having experiences, and then giving ourselves integration time before we have another experience, and slowing right down. I don't think I've put that one on here, but slowing down, you know, the pace of our life. And I can tell by my voice as well, I go faster. It's so fast. And I'm such an advocate in, it's like going against the grain. It's slowing down. It's being with the seasons. And if we're in a woman's body and we're bleeding, being with our cycle, and really honouring when we're actually bleeding and we're in the winter months, and going inward and allowing ourselves time to rest. You know, we're not meant to function. We're not meant to function as we are when we're in summer and when we're ovulating. We're meant to be resting when we're bleeding. I didn't also put that on here, you know, all about the menstrual cycle, but it's really honouring rest as part of our embodiment, as part of natural beings living in nature. It's like winter, it's time to rest, you know, so really giving ourselves rest and time to replenish and resource, especially after we've been in a big experience. So really honouring this integration time. You know, another piece that can come up after we've had a big experience is a vulnerability hangover, and also like after a challenging conversation, you know, that can come up. We can start to go into like some patterns of self-doubt or confusion or even gaslight ourselves. So really encouraging us to resource ourselves after we've had an intense experience, a challenging conversation, you know, because of the vulnerability hangover. And ways I would encourage to resource yourself, and I think I've put that soon after, is getting really clear on our inner circle of trusted friends. And this may evolve, it certainly has for me over time, you know, and it's, I would say, super important. And I think I shared the Brené Brown, there's a anatomy of trust, you know, so it's beings who are often on a similar path to us, people we really can deeply trust, where there's confidentiality, where there's a sense of reciprocity. And for me, accountability is a real top value. So when challenging pieces come up in close friendships, we can move through them, we can bring them, we can process them, and we don't go into defensive judgment, you know, or blaming patterns. We can actually hold our experience and hold the experience of the other with love, with compassion, and take the learning from it. So really having this response flexibility and this emotional maturity to be able to process challenge. And for me, this is a requirement in my close friendships, because otherwise energetically it's exhausting when we can't move through challenge, you know, in an easeful way. So being really discerning around who you allow in your inner circle, which also may bring up some pieces, some tender pieces. And then when you're clear with who's in your inner circle, you know, these beloved friends are your resources. So and like you are there for them, you know, it's reciprocal. And so, for example, you could have heart shares. This is something I often do with my dear friends. We have time to share. It might be 5 minutes, might be 10 minutes, might be 15 minutes. And we specifically have a call, could be on Zoom, could be, you know, just a call on WhatsApp, where we have timed shares, and it's in confidentiality. We can share what's on our heart and also then receive loving reflections. Something else I love, and I love doing this with my son particularly, is appreciations. I'm just laughing because he's like, I know you want to do appreciations now, Mum. But sharing our appreciations of each other. What are you appreciating about me in this moment? What am I appreciating about you in this moment? And often, you know, people we love and who love us can notice parts of us that we haven't seen or even acknowledged, let alone appreciated about ourselves. So appreciations are a beautiful source of nourishment and support. So really encouraging us to lean into our close friendships for heart shares, for appreciations, and for support when we need it. And that leads on to quality time, you know, so just prioritizing quality time and nourishment. How important is this, you know, just to put that as a top priority. Often we can get swamped by work and the to-do list and feeling, you know, our obligations, and actually to prioritize quality time with people we love that's unstructured. I mean, how important is that? And I'm really listening to myself saying that because I need to do it more. I think sometimes I can go on the other side and have too much time on my own. So I've put here, having clear boundaries around people who are not healthy for us in our lives, even if that is no contact at all. So hello, Dick and Kintor, lovely to welcome you here. Yay, so good that you could make the live. So this is not easy, and I've had to do this myself with birth family members, with old friends, and it's not comfortable, and I would really encourage doing it if not doing it is creating harm or impact for your well-being, for your nervous system, or for your mental health, for example. So when there are people in your life who are, oh, thank you, dear Kintor. Hey, dear Kintor and your children, lovely to welcome you to the live. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Yeah, so just going back to this topic, and I know it's not an easy one, but when you're noticing you're experiencing harm or hurt or impact in your life in your nervous system, for your mental health, for your emotional state, and there's no care, you know, there's no accountability, there's no care, there's no leaning in to understand you more deeply, there's no curiosity, it may be time to set a clear boundary and actually remove yourself. And that, of course, brings in itself a grieving process, you know, so really honouring the grief of that, but giving yourself permission to have walls if they're necessary at times and not be available for connections or dynamics that are harmful for you, because this is, beloved friends, our responsibility. We're responsible to take care of ourselves and to not be available for harmful dynamics. So I feel very passionately about that one. Then I'm coming to pleasure, yay! And I'm just aware that children are watching, so might have to be mindful about what I share about this one. So I might have a sip of my cacao. How funny. Hey dear Tanya from Canada, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad I'm ending on this note, because, and I wrote here, and I've written this on one of my walls in my kitchen to remind me, it's reorienting away from conflict, intensity, dysregulation and unmanageability. And what I would like to say about that, beloveds, if we have been brought up with trauma, and Gabor Mate says everyone has experienced trauma to varying levels, so nobody is free of this. If we have been brought up with trauma, then there can be a part of us where it's so familiar when there's conflict, intensity, dysregulation and unmanageability that we unconsciously move towards it, we gravitate towards it because it's familiar. And it's actually bringing the awareness and the consciousness that this now doesn't have to be this way. And going back to the whole point of this live, which is about mastering our energy, this is a big piece, beloveds, when we get really clear, like this dynamic, like what's happening right now, what's unfolding right now is not healthy for me, it's not good for me, it's bringing unmanageability, it's bringing intensity, I don't need it, you know. So really bringing in choice. How much are we available for this dynamic? How much are we available for this process? And knowing we are constantly in choice, even if we make a decision that's not the best decision, and an hour later or a day later we revisit it and think, actually, I'm not available for that. We can change our minds. We can say, hey, that conversation we had the other day, I've reflected, and my truth is that it doesn't feel right for me to do this thing or to be available for this conversation or whatever it is. The point being, we are empowered and in choice to change our minds at any point. So really moving away from conflict, intensity, particularly, this has been a big one for me, dysregulation and unmanageability, and moving towards peace, moving towards pleasure, hallelujah, and alignment. And having this consciousness and awareness and attunement and interoceptive awareness, which is connection with our body, it's being aware, like in the moment, what's feeling good simply and what's not feeling good, and moving towards what's feeling good. That could be disengaging, that could be going for a walk, that could be going just having a bath, it could be not replying to this message that feels urgent, just sitting with the discomfort of not replying. Like this whole instant gratification in our culture, you know, this expectation and entitlement that people have that we should respond immediately. No, we don't. We don't have to respond immediately. We respond in our timeline. We respond in our time. And that is such an important piece, dear beloved friends, to really have the power and the authority over our own lives, that we're in choice. The relationships we're in, the dynamics we're in, and the communications that we're in, and the timing and the pace of our lives. We don't have to conform to this fast-paced, immediate, instantaneous communication. That doesn't have to be the way. And that's my real message, beloved friends, that we get to choose our pace, our timing, and to choose peace, to choose pleasure, and to choose alignment. And I can just feel those words in my nervous system bring a lot of relaxation and down regulation. And so I'll speak a bit about pleasure. So, of course, I am a sexological body worker and a somatic sex coach, and a somatic sex practitioner. So I am a huge believer in the power of our sensuality, our sexuality, and conscious touch, and how the body needs this. Even if we're not in a relationship, even if we're not receiving this from another, this can be something that we are giving to ourselves. So really encouraging us to honour our self-pleasure practice and to create time and space. And this doesn't have to be connecting with our genitals if this is not feeling aligned for us. It could be something as simple as giving ourselves a hand massage, giving ourselves a head massage, a foot massage, so really creating space and time to give and receive touch, even if it's just with ourselves. We are worthy of this. And this creates the neural pathways for downregulation, for calming, for resourcing ourselves, for nourishment, beloved friends. So really setting as a priority conscious touch. And there are some beautiful spaces, cuddle workshops. I'm offering these beautiful sacred touch rituals. So really encouraging you, beloveds, if you haven't had an experience at some conscious touch event, really encouraging that, especially where the facilitators are using the wheel of consent and really who are trained in trauma awareness. I'm quite passionate about this, and boundary work, so it can really create a safe space so we can really drop in and give and receive the touch that our body longs for. And that's another whole topic, so I think I won't go more into that now, otherwise I'll go on for another hour. And so I've put here, just coming to the end here, really having the awareness around productivity and resourcing. So when is it in the day that I have my energy levels are high enough that I can be productive, get on with my to-do list, and I'm engaged and I'm resourced and feeling good about this? And when is my energy starting to drop away? When maybe are those more challenging tasks not feeling aligned for me to force and push on with doing? When am I then starting to move into needing to resource myself? For example, have a walk, go to the gym, have a bath, or go and see a friend, or have a phone call, a nourishing phone call with a friend. So really having the awareness of where the energy is in the day, when you've got the energy to be doing more challenging tasks that require energy, focus, attention, that are more productive, and when you're moving towards needing to resource yourself. And the biggest piece around this, dear friends, is when you're needing to resource yourself, supporting yourself with that, not going into guilt or berating yourself or feeling bad like you're not doing enough, because we're human beings and we have a limited amount of energy in the day. And it's like being your own best friend with this and really learning and honouring and supporting yourself with your energetic needs. So for example, if that means at 2 p.m. you've done enough for the day and you need to rest, and if this is available for you, of course, I know this isn't available for everyone, but just taking yourself off the hook, or at least saying to yourself, okay, then I'm going to do this for myself later on. So you're really honouring that part of yourself that's saying, I've done enough, like I'm at my limit, I've reached my level of enoughness now. So really being your own best friend and your own best supporter with your energy levels. And the last two pieces I've put here are around inner child work, and I've done myself a lot of work around my inner child. So it's really encouraging and supporting you to find what you need from yourself, because often we can go into patterns of longing that somebody else needs to give us the thing that we need, when actually we can give it to ourselves. And the way to do that, I find, is by having inner child dialogues, inner child conversations. So really tuning in to what does for me, it's little Penelope. What does little Penelope need right now? And often it is soothing. That's why I've always got these teddies around. She just wants to snuggle with a hot water bottle and a teddy, or just stop, not keep doing the to-do list, be with my oils, do something that's more fun, go and play with my cat, or go for a walk, or something different, not productive. And if I don't listen to little Penelope in that moment, she starts to, it's like she gets louder and then it gets, what my plans get sabotaged. So I'm really inviting this sense of integration and deep care with yourself, with your inner child, like a dialogue. So you're really tuning into what they need, so you can provide that for yourself. So you're not going into patterns of trying to reach out for example, from someone who's not available to give you what you need. My intention in sharing this is to empower you to meet yourself, to meet your inner child, and to really nourish, care for, soothe, be kind and gentle with your own inner child. Something else that works for me is recording voice messages for myself with appreciations. So I'm acknowledging my inner child and being really proud of her. And it just lifts my whole spirit when I do that, just acknowledging things that I appreciate and care about her with a voice message. So hope this is helpful. Hello, dear Karina. Thank you. Beautiful, fabulous advice. Thank you so much. I needed to hear this. I'm so glad. I just had an intuition this morning that I've got such a wealth of knowledge around all these tools that I need to share about it. You know, it's going to help someone. And I thought I'll just share, write them down and share. And the last piece is grieving. A huge part of this journey is grieving. You know, it's grieving our past, it's grieving our past relationships, it's grieving people we've had to let go of, it's grieving people we've had to set boundaries with, even like have walls with at times if that's necessary. It's grieving the longing, the dreams, the hopes that didn't come to fruition. And beloved friends, I just feel like this, and this is, you know, it's like like ending on a tender note, but it feels that this allowing ourselves to fully grieve processes, relationships, ruptures, disrepair, conflict that hasn't been resolved, dreams that haven't been fulfilled, allowing this grieving process to be complete is the greatest gift that you could be giving yourself. So just noticing when there's grief coming up, and then we might think, oh, I just want to eat something, or I just want to watch something, or distract, I don't want to feel. How would it be if you set the timer and say, okay, for 5 minutes, I'm going to let myself feel these really uncomfortable feelings and just sit, you know, and even create sacred space, get a hot water bottle, get a candle, put some incense on. So you're creating space, call in your support, your guides, your helpers. So you're supported in feeling your feelings, allowing your feelings to move through so that they don't become a dam, you know, and then end up becoming so much that they are unmanageable, you know, and then life becomes completely unmanageable. It's allowing ourselves to feel our feelings little by little and tending to this. This is something I've learned in my grieving process, that grieving, it's like we need to tend to it. So regularly, I cry every day. And when I feel the grief there and I can feel like, oh no, I don't want to feel it, I'm like, I need to feel it. I need to feel my grief. I need to let myself feel. And it's not long often. It's only 5 minutes that the sobbing can feel intense. And I just hold myself through it. Let myself feel. Let the tears fall without wiping them away. There's something also very powerful in allowing the tears to actually follow their natural course and be felt. And let the tears flow. Let the tears flow. So that feels a beautiful note to end on, beloved friends. Oh, so just inviting us, oh my gosh, we've nearly gone an hour, I can't believe it. So inviting us to take a deep breath together. And beloved friends, just allowing your beings to receive in your heart this information. And allowing yourselves to receive what's helpful, what resonates, knowing this is on a recording so you can go back to it at any point. And inviting you also to let go of anything that wasn't helpful. So really honouring your path. You are your own guru. You are your own leader. Okay, beloved, so I have some time now for questions if there are any on the live, and I'm aware people might not have questions, and that's okay as well, but just felt I'd give a bit of time for questions if there are any. I might just stay on another couple of minutes for anyone who's on the live. If you have any questions, could be around this topic, around energy, mastering our energy, or anything else I've shared about. So feel free to ask a question. Thank you, dear Tanya. Thank you so much for sharing. You're so welcome. Thank you for honouring yourself and for being here, for giving yourself this information if it's helpful for you. Okay, so it looks like there's no questions for now. So just honouring all of us for being here and for saying yes to this healing journey, to the healing for our collective, for sharing our gifts, sharing what we've learnt, because all these things I've learnt and all these things I've learnt through experiencing high levels of pain. So I'm just trusting that this gold that I've learnt now is helping others, and that's a beautiful thing. So it also makes some sense of my experiences. So just giving gratitudes now, and closing this space with so much love, with appreciation, honouring our tender hearts, honouring each and every person listening to this live, on the live or on the replay, and sending so much love and blessings for you, for your beautiful heart and for your journey. So much love. Thank you, dear Karen. So much love to you. So much love and blessings from my heart, beloved friends. And see you next time from Shanti.